Okay, let's do part 2 of stigma, the stigma of living in a complicated marriage. Didn't you love the first part? It's complicated to live in a complicated marriage, but let's talk about the stigma some more. So glad you're here. Mwah. Some partnerships are complicated by big boulders with things like chronic illness and addiction. If you're in a marriage like that, we're here to teach you how to thrive solo so that you can thrive together. We're Mark and Melody Ross, married for more than 30 years and living with the boulder of traumatic brain injury for more than half of our marriage. We thrive solo so that we can thrive together. I want to tell you a second about this location that we picked.
Come on.
We're back in a place where we were a lot last summer. And we'll be sharing more about this as we make more videos. Mark is working with wild horses.
Well, not so many wild ones now, but still Mustangs.
Yeah, Mustangs. And so we're up at a ranch, Wild West Mustang Ranch. We're going to introduce you to West and Cami soon. But last year when we were here, there have been a lot of fires here. And so much of the forest is all scorched and burned. And there was this incredible paradox, I guess, of all of these burnt black trees and then these beautiful, I think they're called mountain poppies, white ones, showed up everywhere. And Cami, who has lived here most of her life, said she's never seen those before. But they showed up all around these black scorched trees. And I think they'll be here in about a month, right? Or maybe 2 months, I guess.
I think it's end of June,
end
July.
of June, yeah. And so I'll come show them to you. But I was so excited because I knew when we saw these blackened forests that when spring came, all the green grass would come up, and that's what we're sitting in the midst of right now. And it's just there's so many beautiful lessons in nature. You know, this is one of them where we can be surrounded by things that have burnt and are gone. And then all the new growth coming up because it's so resilient, and it's just how life is. It just goes on. It goes on and it goes on and it goes on, whether we pay attention to it or not, whether we notice or not. And so that's why we're here. And we have that pretty little burnt black tree back there. There's one right in front of us too, and mixed with all this beautiful little green grass that's just coming up. So that's why we're here, just as a little object lesson. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit to wrap up this video. We don't want these videos to be too long, about stigma. And I know we'll be doing more videos about stigma because that's a big problem for all of us. But I just want to reinforce this. Creating a new language about your boulder, which is a new perspective, a new way of looking at it. That's really what saved us. And when Mark was not really even functioning in the world for those first 5 or 6 years, that's how I survived. Is I separated his condition from him, and it just became this third entity. And at that time, of course, I called it like a monster, or it was this terrible thing that I was battling to try to free my husband. And that's really what I really thought I was going to be able to do that, you know. And so now we're like 16 years into this, and my perspective is changing because, like he said, that this isn't something that's going to go away. It might even get worse as we get older. We have no idea. We don't know anything, you know, or, you know.
We know some things.
We know some things, yeah. But it's not just going to go away. And that's okay, you know, that's okay. I think we have to be able to make it through, you know, these boulders that we're all dealing with in our marriages.
Make it through.
Our partnerships.
Carry with.
Yeah. Let's just say to thrive inside of this situation, we have to be totally real with ourselves. It starts with ourselves, you know. We pretend for other people, but I think we pretend for ourselves sometimes, and it's okay. actual brain injury specialists because of my friends Judy and Bev, who we're going to introduce you to as well. I remember the first neuro doctors, whatever. There's so many different kinds. One of them said, you know, it could be 6 weeks, could be 6 months, could be 6 years, could be forever. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Ours is only going to be 6 weeks, though. That's what I made that decision. We're gonna do everything we can. We're gonna do all the right things, and this is only gonna last for 6 weeks, and then we're gonna move on with our life, and things are gonna be like they were before. Well, of course, 6 weeks came and went, and 6 months came and went, and 6 years came and went, and
16 years.
And then 16 years have come and went, come and gone.
It's almost 17.
Almost 17 years, yeah, July, right? And so, I think me thinking that it was going to be shorter than it was a good coping mechanism. It's kind of like those lines at Disneyland where they trick you into thinking you're almost there and you're actually not. I don't know. I am kind of grateful that at the beginning I didn't know that 16 years would go by and we would still be, we would still be dancing on top of the boulder, or trying to breathe underneath the boulder, or trying to find each other on either side of the boulder, or every once in a while going on each other's side of the boulder and dancing there. If I would have known that 16 years ago, I don't know if I could bear that. Could you have?
I did.
You just don't know, I guess.
For me, that's what it is, and so you just keep going.
You just keep going. Yeah, he's less emotional than me, I think. Sometimes, yeah. But we're talking about stigma. So honestly, you guys, the stigma isn't going to go away until it goes away for you. It's not going to go away in your relationships and on this planet as a human family. The stigma is not going to go away until the stigma goes away with the people that are actually living with it. And some of the ways that we participate in this still being a stigma is by pretending that things are different than they are. And we pretend to protect other people. We pretend to protect ourselves. We pretend because we don't want it to be the reality. We pretend because, man, one of the things that I think is so hard is when you have to end up comforting somebody else over your own problem. Like when you're telling somebody what it's like, and then they're freaking out about what you're going through, and you end up comforting them and then walking away just like, I feel less energy than I had when I started this conversation. And so you stay quiet and you stay in isolation. And I think even sometimes, and again, I don't want anybody to feel like I'm saying this is what you should do and you're wrong if you're not doing this. I'm telling you the process that we've had to go through and that we are still going through, because we're starting to talk about this. And the other stigma is that I think we fear, because there's such a template of what's acceptable in life. We live in the United States of America, so there's like the American dream. You grow up, you go to college, you get a good job, you get a mortgage, you get some kids and a dog, and you pay off your house, and you stay in the same community, whatever. Like, at least that's how we were raised. When your life doesn't work like that, and you have to figure out a different way to live, again, you feel like you're an outsider. And if you don't have, I do. That's what I was going to say. I was just about to say, if you don't have the ego strength to go, we're just going to live differently than everybody else lives, then every day you just feel parts of you, I'm going to say the little slivers of you that maybe don't have the ego strength, or feel, or you're afraid you're going to get rejected, or whatever. If you can't just go, this is how our life is now, and that's cool, and whatever, people can think whatever they want, then you still keep pretending. You're like, yeah, I don't know. I think until we decide that, and I'm talking all of us that have these complicated lives and marriages, partnerships, until we decide, like, I have to do what's best for the situation that I'm in, and I don't care what anybody thinks of that, then we're going to be part of the stigma because we're too embarrassed to say, or whatever. We're too scared. I don't know what we're scared of. I don't know what we're embarrassed about. I think
What were you scared or embarrassed of?
I don't know. For me, it's just always like scared that you're going to end up alone because people they won't accept you as you are. You know, it's scary to be rejected and to be alone. And so I think I was scared of, I know lots of you guys are still raising kids. Like when you're raising kids, you're scared that this is going to bleed onto your kids and that they're also going to be rejected and they're going to be embarrassed and they're not going to be able to have a good life. You know, that's one thing I was scared of, but mostly, and then also, I think, man, I'm a really nice person, I think, for the most part. But one thing with me is if people say cruel things about him or our relationship or about my kids or whatever, oh man, this side of me comes out. That's kind of scary. Like I just get on my guard. And so I think scared also that if I tell people what things are really like, that they're going to be judgmental toward him. Not because you guys know how it is. One of the reasons I don't talk about this is because of the very probably mostly well-intentioned but stupid freaking advice and opinions that I get from people. You know, it was getting really exhausting. Like when people say stuff like, have you guys tried like positive affirmations, or saying stuff like that, and you're like, yeah, that was like the first month of this, of course we've tried that. We tried everything. And then just not really understanding, like, this isn't something. I think a lot of people want to give you a solution that is quick because they're uncomfortable. They want this to be over for you. When people tell you, don't cry, stop crying, it's okay. They're not doing that because they think you'll feel better if you stop crying. They're doing it because they feel uncomfortable seeing you cry. And that's just how we are as humans. We're just kind of like, this is really uncomfortable. I want you to feel better so that I can stop feeling uncomfortable. That's part of the stigma. You have anything to say about all this? You're not much of a pretender, I guess.
If that's what I said before. I kind of figured out how just to not pretend at all, and I thought of something when Mel was when you were talking about that you were scared and that you were going to be alone or something, and I know there's some of my buddies that are probably listening and people I know, and we're in the same boat, so we're not alone. And I just would say don't, if you can, try not to feel that, because we're here. At least we're something. If you're scared of being alone, we're here. And if I'm in one of my lows and can't seem to be someone to lean on, then maybe Mel's someone that you could lean on, and that's we're part of this group, and I know we're wanting to come up with tools and solutions and just stuff that can help. And one of those things I think that can help is knowing, just being in this Facebook group, that you're not alone, that there are people that understand and are going through very similar things, and we get it.
Yeah.
We get it in some way. I know all our boulders are different, and they're different looking, they're different weights, they're different sizes for each of us, and so I couldn't say I could carry yours, but we're here, and so you're not alone.
Yeah, and at least it's a place where you don't have to pretend like there's not a boulder,
Yeah.
Like you can just show up as messy and show up scared, show up mad, show up sad, show up exhausted, show up weary. You know, and you don't have to clean yourself all up to make yourself acceptable to the rest of society because of this stigma. But I guess what I'm really asking all of us to do, including myself, is we all have to drop the stigma. Like, we have to talk about this like it's not embarrassing, and we have to talk about this like it's not temporary. You know, I think that's the hard part, is just you know, coming to a place of acceptance that this is life, this is it, this is what we get. And when you do that, you start seeing that this is actually not so bad. You know, there's really good things about this. The things that make this harder are having to spend the energy doing all the extra things that you have to do when your life's complicated like this. You know, that takes a lot of energy. But then also using maybe even more energy creating this dog and pony show that, oh, I'm great, I'm doing fine, everything's peachy, everything's wonderful, you know, because we are doing fine, but we're not doing fine the way that other people are doing fine. You know, that's the thing, is, and maybe they're pretending too. I think we have a problem in our whole culture with just seeing this one way to be, that's the one acceptable way to be. And then if your life isn't like that, trying to figure out like, what did I do wrong, or you know, what's going to happen to me because my life is so different, or whatever. Like, all the energy that takes, that you could be spending going, this is how our life is, and now we're thriving. Just like with us, like we have made the choice to just downsize our life completely and live this really unorthodox nomad life for right now. And
ish,
yeah, you're right. Yeah, how about we just live an ish life? That's what I'm liking. A day by day life, you know. And if I spend all my time pretending that it's different than it is, I'm missing out on how incredible it is. Like, we're having incredible experiences that we wouldn't be having if we had a more orthodox life. And so I'm committed to working really hard on dropping the stigma and not worrying so much about how other people haven't dropped the stigma, because it has to start with all of us. How about you?
Yeah, stigma for me is out the door. It was a long time ago. I mean, yeah. Anybody who's known me for 10 years or more know that I don't have a problem talking about what it was, what it is, my boulder, showing it to them. Our boulder, I don't want to call it mine because it's ours together. But yeah, stigmas. Like I said, if you can't hang out with us and our boulder, then, well, go find one you can hang out with. Or if you can't hang out with anybody, this is not to you guys, obviously. This is the normal society or whatever. Like, then I guess I can't be around you. I'm sorry. I wish I had something to offer you, but go be where you can feel accepted. And
accepting.
Us will understand that we all have these things, and try to keep moving down the river or up the mountain, whatever it is.
Okay, so that's enough for this video. Why you laughing?
Because it's like 35 minutes or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna break it into 2 parts.
Oh, good.
Stigma part 1, stigma part 2. Parting thoughts are just, what I really want for you guys is that you can just spend some time just getting honest with how things actually are. And if that requires some grieving time, to just go, okay, you know, because I definitely go through my ups and downs, because I'm always looking for some magic thing that's going to fix everything. I used to always be that. But then came to a place where I'm like, well, maybe this doesn't need to be fixed. Maybe this is our little flavor of our human experience, and we're going to make the most of it.
Even in the wind.
Even in the wind. Even in all the burnt trees in the wind. Got any parting thoughts?
Yeah, I do. You know what? To all all I got. That's what I got. But I love you. Somebody. All of you. I love you.
Ditto. Okay, hang in there, guys. We're all going to learn how to thrive solo so we can learn how to thrive together. And we're going to have a great life, okay? Love you. Mwah.